Hello everyone, this is John from RPGs and More, and in this video I'm going to continue talking about some tools and some resources that I'm going to make use of in my upcoming solo game sessions. I know some people have asked about what stuff interests me. Um, so the first thing, and the main thing that I'm going to be using a lot is Necromancer Games, the mother of all treasure tables. The reason why I'm going to be using this one is because it's highly detailed. It really is just one giant. Um, let's look at this. It's about 154 pages long, and it's one huge treasure table. And it covers amounts. Let's see. The highest amount you can get table X is epic treasure, and that's the last table in the book. Just more treasure than human beings should be allowed to have. You roll on it and you get these big, there's several paragraphs worth of different items that can be found. Or the one that I'm going to be using a lot back in the beginning on page 8 is the 10 gold pieces or less table. And that one is where I'm going to be using a lot for starting out, because when you're in the system Knave that I'm going to be using, they use the copper standard, which means that all items are priced based on copper pieces. So 10 gold pieces is going to be a lot. And I think, at least for now, for what I can perceive me doing for the purpose of this channel, I think that that's the most that I'm going to need. So let's give you some examples of what kind of this table rolls up. It's a D100 roll. And let's say I were to roll a 19. You find a pair of moss-scented blue candles, each as long and narrow as a lady's finger. They're worth 1 copper piece each. A rough gray whetstone, worth 2 copper pieces. An iron tent stake with a looped eyelet at the top. Looks like that one's worth 2 silver pieces. And 3 silver coins minted by a local trading house. Okay, and the total is 0.54 gold pieces. So it's 5 silver and 4 copper worth of stuff. And that's a treasure. So what this does is it takes this idea of, you find, you're searching through the kobold's pockets and you find 5 gold pieces. That's easy. That's easy math. This takes that away, and you roll on this chart. Instead of finding that 5 gold pieces in that kobold's pouch, I just found some candles and some other things. Now they can be sold for money. That's why their cost is listed there. But they also could be useful, and suddenly you've got more characterful things. You've got more things that could generate story. I mean, maybe there's a story behind those moss-scented blue candles. Where did that tent stake come from? And is there someone looking for it? Probably not. But maybe the kobold was using it as a weapon or as a chisel. And there's a bunch of different stuff that you can get. Like another result. Let's read another one. Number 28. A fistful of dried olives and apricots, worth 1 silver, is carried within a bulging pocket. The bundle of dried fruit is held together by a small mesh bag, 2 silver, made from meticulously woven black and green threads, worth a total of 3 silver. That's a neat little item. You could, pull that out of somebody's pocket. Maybe your thief is like, I'm going to pickpocket, that person on the street, and you say, "Oh, fine, okay." You roll on the chart real quick, and you have what the thief steals out of that person's pocket. And that's all that they really need. I mean, you don't have to get really elaborate. And if you keep giving them lots of money, they're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep robbing every person they come across, because that's how they get gold. But if you start giving them things and items and stuff like that, then maybe maybe they'll keep stealing stuff because they'll want to see what else you can come up with, or B, they'll stop because they realize I'm getting silver pieces, or even copper pieces worth of things, and I'm running the risk of getting caught every time I do it. Well, let's say that we were to roll the good old 100 on this table. What's the 100? In the pocket you find 3 gold pieces and a small knife in a leather sheath. The knife is only a bit over 2 inches long. It is made of steel, and when you withdraw it from its sheath, you notice right away that it is not very sharp. It is worth 5 gold pieces for a total of 8 gold pieces. Okay, that's an interesting find. It's an interesting item. For someone who's a bit hard up on cash, a knife that's worth 5 gold pieces, that's 500 copper pieces. That's a lot right there. So that's kind of neat. And that's kind of why I gravitate towards that. And then the next chart is, 50 gold pieces. And then there's a whole table for 50 gold pieces. So Mother of all treasure tables is going to be my consistent companion when it comes to figuring out what my characters, what my knave, and anyone that joins my knave finds on their adventure. The other thing I'm going to be pulling from is the Book of Random Tables by Matt Davids. And I've got all 5 of these things. And these are very useful when I'm feeling less creative than normal, because I can just grab a book, roll on a table, and I've got enough material to just spur out the imagination to keep going. That's one of the reasons why I might start doing a lot of my prep work, at least, away from the camera, so that I have time to sit down and roll on these tables and be comfortable with it and not worry about dead air while I'm doing it. But, if enough people say that they don't mind the dead air and they'd like me to, showcase every step of the way, then maybe I'll do it on camera. Just let me know what you want. But like the first one has tables like male names, 3 different tables of male names, 3 different tables of female names. Okay. I kind of have Gary Gygax's Extraordinary Book of Names, so I feel like I'm covered there, but it's neat to have fantasy ideas. We can find like items in a wizard's chamber, items in an alchemist's lab, items you find in a cottage, items found on a dead goblin, items in a hunter's camp, or there's 3 different tables of gemstones. I mean, that's kind of cool. I can see myself rolling on some of those tables, especially the gemstone tables. If I come up with something in the book of treasure that's I don't quite know what to do with, or there's ideas for encounters on the forest, the mountain, the swamp, seafaring, catastrophes, as well as rumors and odd jobs. Let's look at the rumors and odd jobs, because I was just talking up the 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 tavern trawling rules. But let's say if I were to look at rumors and odd jobs, and I were to roll a 100. The king's son is planning to overthrow and murder his father. Okay, that's one heck of a rumor. Doesn't sound like an odd job to me. Sounds like a big rumor though. And if I were to, I could see using this as a rumor table for when I'm trying to generate what's going on. Because rumors are fun. All right. Let's say if I was to roll a 1 on the rumors and odd jobs table, what would that be? Several people say they have seen lights up at the old mine the last few nights. Well, if you've got an old mine close by where your characters are starting out, then that one works perfectly. Or you kind of modify this a little bit and say, well, there isn't a mine where I'm at, but what is a mine? What if my story is taking place in an urban city, then let's replace the mine with the factory. Okay? Or the workhouse, or the warehouse, or some other. There's strange lights in some work oriented place that is either recently closed down or maybe um, or maybe just no one should be there at that time, and there's lights going on there, and that's a rumor. Could be an odd job. I mean, maybe the local foreman is looking for someone who's not associated with the management to go check it out because they're afraid that someone's doing something bad, but they don't want management to get wind of it necessarily, or maybe they're afraid that management's doing something bad and they want to find out what's going on without using the usual channels because they don't know who they can trust. So that's one. And then we get to book 2, and there you've got tables like dungeon rooms and descriptions of dungeon rooms, which is cool. Goblin names, orc names, kobold names. Items you find in a smithy, items you find in a troll's cave, musical instruments, maps, adventuring gear, booths in a market. That's a cool one. That's a neat idea. And then you got people. Roll randomly to find non-player characters. Roll randomly to find fortunes or insults or jobs, or an NPC's reaction to a failed pickpocket attempt. Rather specific table. But I mean, how often have you had a player, pickpocket an NPC and not know what to do if they catch them? Or there's 5 different tables of town names. That sounds pretty useful. I kind of like that. Let's take a look at that one because town names number 5. If I were to roll 72. Let's see what we got. 72. It's Flashes. 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 Okay, so the town of Flashes, or the village of Flashes, or the city of Flashes. So if you're not looking to make something that you can publish, I mean, that's a cool way to just kind of generate a bunch of stuff. Or you just generate a name like Flashes. I kind of like Flashes. Flashes could be fun, but let's make it my own. How about let's do Placis. Placisburg. Placis. Placisstein. Okay, you just kind of you take the name and you work with it, and you just use it as a beginning of inspiration, and that's all this is for. And then random book number 3, we got more stuff, and there's more things in here like I roll for items in a chest, items on a dead orc, jewelry, items in a wine cellar. There's a whole bunch of stuff for food and drink. If you're really stumped as to what do they find in that bakery, then you can use this table to roll on that. That's kind of cool. There's more to it in that book, but those are just a few ideas of what is in there. There's more to it. Then they go to book 4, and you've got things like more names, elf names, halfling names, dwarf clan names, types of encounters, more items and things for fictional spices, magic items. There's more people and characters. So critical fails for melee attacks, and get a chart for that. Causes of death if you're doing a murder mystery. Could be fun. Mutations, curses, critical fails for spell attacks, critical successes for spell attacks. So your mileage may vary as what you find useful, what you don't. I like having a lot of different arrows in my quiver. So on book number 5, more names, dragon names, fantasy country names. There's 3 different charts for that. Gang names, pirate ship names, troll names. Also, there's night encounters and carousing tables. I might take a look at those in a moment. More items and things. Fey-touched carnival prizes, items in a hermit's cave, items on a battlefield. Business, profits, and loss. If your players want to run a business and you just don't know what to do, there's some charts for that. That's cool. People and characters. Key backstory moments, NPC developments, NPC quirks, phobias, resurrection side effects, and then town happenings. But let's take a look at carousing and night encounters. So we're going to go to page 16. All right, so what is carousing? I'm going to select a number. Let's do our usual standard, what we do with one of the previous controls. We're going to look at number 1. Okay. You now own an old wagon with Albertus the Magnificent painted on the sides. How did you get that wagon? Did you steal that wagon? Did you win it in a gambling game? Huh, you don't know. That's what you find out. That's just what you learn after you wake up after carousing. So now you can have your next session be entitled, Dude, where's this wagon? All right, I always roll 100. Your knuckles are cut and swollen like you have been in a fist fight, but you only remember partying at the inn. Okay. That's kind of neat. So let's pick one other one, somewhere in the middle. 72 is nice to us, love. So number 72, you wake up with your boots on your hands and your gloves on your feet. That must have been one heck of a night. Okay. And then night encounters. Number 1 is a shady merchant selling a mystery potion. Ooh, that sounds like fun. No joke. And then if you go to 100, a ghostly hunting party. Oh, okay, that could be something like Banshee, style, or the Wild Hunt from the elves is like a bunch of like ghostly elves hunting through the city, trying to or hunting through the forest, trying to take out any hunters they come across who are breaking the forest laws. Number 83, an overgrown garden tended by a ghostly woman. Okay, all right. Or number 27, a hungry panther. Well, I guess if your town has a zoo, that encounter would make sense. Otherwise, you're re-rolling. Or you're just deciding that it's not a panther, it's a wolf, because wolves are actually in my area. So that's these books, and I'm planning on using them a bit, just to help flesh things out. And that's some more tools that I have found for solo gaming that I think I'm going to make use of here and there. Not sure I'm going to be using them all the time, but I like to have them available, and I hope that you enjoyed a brief explanation of what they are and what's there. Thank you all for stopping by, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.